It's not necessarily the goals that you set, but it's the processes that you're willing to put into place. The reason I got into the WNBA is not because I was drafted, I was undrafted.
3-point lead for Minnesota. Allen tries to tie it up and does. Rebecca Allen.
Oh, that was close.
Oh my God, that was intense.
What I'm really curious to know about is what separates a WNBA player to a WNBL player. Let's go, Rush! Welcome back to the channel. My name is Rush. I've got to give a big shout out to 2K for sponsoring this episode. I've been practicing my skills on 2K23, so stick around and see if I can meet basketball star Bec Allen. Also, I would love for you guys to drop a comment and let me know who your go-to player is in 2K. All right, let's get into it. Bec Allen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming past. So look, you've had a lot of success overseas. You'd be the perfect person to pick your brain about setting goals. Why is it important to set goals?
I think it's important to set goals because it's creating a system for where you want to get to. It's funny, I was reading in a book recently, it's not necessarily the goals that you set. You could have the same goal as me, but it's the processes that you're willing to put into place. So I think that the systems that I have in terms of that work ethic and that I've developed over time is so important in achieving the goals that I have set out. And it's sometimes not looking too far ahead. I sometimes think, yeah, you can have those future goals. Like for me, I really want to go to Paris in Tokyo, but how am I going to get there? So I think it's important to have the short-term goals especially.
Okay, so let's go back to when you were 15, 16 years old. What goals did you have at that age?
It's funny because I was always I wasn't someone who was always making the first teams as a junior. And so I'd be looking at the girls that were in the first. So I was looking at the other players of, okay, what were they doing that I need to do, or how can I get better? And so sometimes it was purely looking at the person who was in the first team ahead of me being like, okay, I want to be like that, or I want to do this better. So it's sort of funny how sometimes they've just been as small as that, but it's really helped me develop.
That's cool. Okay, well, look, in terms of your current goals, what are they at the moment?
Current goals right now is honestly, because I had a pretty big injury recently, so it's about being healthy and playing with confidence. So I'm going to be going to Connecticut and just, I want to get back into playing like me and playing sort of with that freedom. And then ultimately this is sort of setting me up for Paris. That's the plan.
And in terms of when you're growing up, did you have a role model or a teacher that you listened to and looked up to?
Penny Taylor for me is a player that I looked up to for quite a while, and I think when I first had the opportunity to play alongside her, it wasn't just how she was as a player. I think it's more so that she was just a really good person. So if I was to ever say if I was to idolize someone or look up to someone, it was definitely her, because I think there's no better person than someone who is great at their craft but also just a good human, you know? There you are, shoot!
All right, here we go.
Oh, Rebecca!
Shoot it.
I'm trying to, I don't know what button that is.
All right, you got 9 seconds.
This is my time.
Okay, here we go, your time to
Go,
shine.
go. I need you to back up.
Shoot it.
Trying. Yes!
Oh, that was close.
I'm just glad I got a shot off. Oh my God, that was intense.
What I'm really curious to know about is what separates a WNBA player to a WNBL player.
I'm not talking skills in that sort of sense, but I think that when you go there, you've got to be ready for, people to tell you the honest truths, you know, and that's not necessarily just from your coaches, it's also from your teammates. And so for me, it was, Bec, you need to be better at defense. You need to work on that, otherwise you're not going to get on the court. And it's being able to build up, I guess, that mental resilience and to not take things so personally. So that's what I think was the biggest difference. But also, I think you're playing against some of the best athletes in the world. Like athletically, it is another level, it's a jump up. And if I wouldn't say that I'm the most athletic person on the court, but okay, what do I make up for it with? And if it's the IQ on the court, it's playing with that intelligence. And I think that that's what's, kept me in the league as well.
I mean, you're pretty athletic. You're 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, I try to be, but I'm also 30, so it's sort of declining.
America is still king of the basketball world. What do we need to do here in Australia to get on that level?
I think that it's not necessarily copying. I don't believe that that's ever the way. I think that it's us staying true to, okay, what do we bring to the table? And I think we always like to, always rest our morals and everything on defense. I think that we always make sure that we're going to be a defensively present team, so we make everything difficult. As long as we stick to that, I think that we're always going to be successful. We're always going to be on the podium. And then I think it's also with that continuity of time together, you build that team chemistry, and that's huge.
And in terms of when you're in the WNBA, do the American players, what's their perspective on Australian players? Like, do they respect the Australian game, or they kind of think, you're from Australia, like, what's your thoughts?
Well, I've got to show where it is on the map first. No, I'm playing. No, I think that there's a respect before that defensive element too, is that we're known for being hard. We're known for always giving our all in all of the games too. So I think that there's definitely a respect element. That's why you see so many Aussies in the league, both men and women's this year in particular. I think it's going to be a huge number.
And what about trash talking? I'm always curious to know, is there a lot of trash talking that's going on in the WNBA?
All I know is that I can't trash talk to save my life, because if I say something, it just keeps going on in my mind all the time after, so that would just crush my confidence.
Yeah, because you seem so polite, I can't imagine you trash talking.
Oh my God, I've got white line fever for sure. People say that it's scary, but at the same time, in terms of trash talk, it's not me. But if I've had someone trash talk me, of course, Diana Taurasi is one that I'll never forget. I think everyone's got a Diana story, just because, she makes her presence known. She makes her presence known for sure. And I will never forget that one game that she really sort of got in my face a bit, but I was like, let me live.
Now, look, you just announced that you're leaving New York, but you spent 7 years over there.
Yeah.
And in terms of the lifestyle, what was it like living in the Big Apple?
Oh, I loved it. Like I really, really enjoyed living, especially Brooklyn side. I think there's this really cool sort of eclectic way about all the different boroughs that you're in. You've got these restaurants, this cafe culture, and I really enjoy that. It is sad to be leaving that, I guess, but it's also, I got 7 years there. That's pretty cool to have really been able to say, hey, you got to live in a city and genuinely like experience a city.
Now, you're from Melbourne. What would you say is the biggest difference between Melbourne and New York?
Oh, there's heaps. I just think the fact that like they do a great job of creating some like green spaces in New York, but you always feel very much it's congested. You're in a concrete jungle. It's full on. But I think that there's definitely that hustle and bustle element for sure, but I'm a Melbourne girl. I'm always just going to love it so much more. And there's a bias, but I also think that having lived in different places, I don't know, I think you can't get better than here.
All right, let's get into the second quarter.
Oh, let's go. All right. I'm trying to get a defender up there. Yeah.
Jack of three.
Of course you are. There's no defender. Oh! Okay, Jewel.
All right, let's see what you got. You've had a minute 20 to warm up.
Pass again. Yeah, good job. I was really upset with myself.
And how do you feel seeing yourself in a video game? Because that's a pretty big flex.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? I never really dreamed of. So it's a pretty cool addition on top of everything else, And
do you feel like they got your characteristics and your game relatively close to?
I think that they did like an awesome job. Like I remember when we were inside that sort of the dome with all the cameras around and you had to do all the facial expressions. Like it was pretty cool doing that.
Oh, so you actually went to a day of filming for...
Yeah, we all sat in there and they had all these cameras just set up around, and then you had to like do every different sort of facial expression so that they could use it on this.
Oh, really? Do you want to give me some of the facial expressions now? So basketball has taken you literally all over the world. Which country or city has had the biggest impact on you?
There's definitely two. I think the biggest impact would have to be New York, because I think that I've shown so much growth, more than I ever thought that I could. I think I've had to become a lot tougher. I think even just that whole personality wise of being able to say that you've been over there, this is gonna be my 8th season. I think there's a lot of work, and it's not necessarily just on court, it's even just that personal, that people don't really understand or will ever know. So that I'm really proud of. And then my other one will always be Valencia in Spain. They're also my two most current, I understand that, but I just think that I hit the jackpot with a team like Valencia. You're in an awesome location. It's a great team. The fans there are epic. It's a pretty cool scenario to be living in that side of the world.
So what other countries and cities have you played in?
I've lived in France. I was in Lyon. That was an awesome experience as well. Tony Parker is the owner of that team, and he's super invested. Yeah, he's a great owner for the men's and the women's. And then I was also in Poland, in Gdynia. I was there for 2 years, and I never expected to love it as much as I did. That was a really great experience as well. And then I started in Slovakia, so that was my first ever European experience, that was an experience. I'll be honest. That was a hard year.
And look, one thing I'm really curious about is, when you play in Spain, how do you go with the language barrier? Like, what languages is the coach speaking, the players? Like, how do you adapt in that situation?
Yo hablo español un poquito. I should be a lot better than what I am, but you know, a slow learner. Slow learner with the languages.
And what about your Latin dancing? So say for someone here in Australia that's watching this and they've got dreams of wanting to play international basketball, what message have you got for them?
Take every opportunity as it comes. I think you never know who's watching. You never know what you can gain from it as well. The reason I got into the WNBA is not because I was drafted. I was undrafted and I was doing a tour with the Australian team. It was my first ever tour, and we were just playing against WNBA teams in their preseason, and that's how I got visibility, and that's how I landed my first gig in New York, and you know, and people took chances on me. So I think that you just never know like what opportunities come from anything. So it's just big on putting your whole self in and just seeing where that goes. And I think you can take that with any avenue of life, not just sport.
And how's your relationship with all the girls in the team? Like, is it, in terms of now that you're leaving New York, are you still going to keep in touch and go out for dinners with them?
For sure. I mean, my big thing especially is when I'm in America, I try to always see the Aussies in particular. Like, even if you don't really know them super well and they're young and they're just in the league for the first time, I think because like people like Jenna O'Hay did that to me, and I appreciated that so much. Great pass. Oh my God, yes. Who's got the hang of this game? Okay, should it? Did it go in? Oh! I should really look at the shot clock. I can't multitask. Obviously, I got really into that, didn't I?
So in a standard year, how much time do you get off per year? Do you get any breaks, any holidays?
No, because I'm literally like, let's say I finished WNBA and let's say I'm going to Valencia, the games have already started. So there's like a tiny bit of a crossover that happens, or even that's why I haven't done many pre-seasons in the WNBA, because the European season goes so late. So yeah, there's been literally no time off. You get off the flight and then you're playing 2 days later.
So this is literally the first time in your career where you've had time off because of the injury?
And I've been thriving.
What have you been doing?
I really enjoyed it. Well, it's also just making those, like reconnecting with friends and family. And it's like, for me, that's the most important thing in life in that sense. And so I've really enjoyed being able to have that dynamic and then also be doing my workouts. So I've got more of a balance.
Yeah, you feel like your batteries are charged again.
Definitely.
Ready to go.
Which is good for this next year, yeah.